Okay, now you need to put all the files that you've gathered together into an assembly file. Remember, assembly file is like this, where it has all your parts, and these pieces are in here and locked together. Look, these are not moving when I click and drag these. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So you're going to click up here next to this little thing. That's the new button, assembly. You can do this. You can do file, file new, and assembly. Either one of those. Now when you open it up, it's just going to be blank, and you're going to need to place your files in here. So you click place. And for you need to go, navigate to the Google Drive, this PC, Google Drive, My Drive, wherever you saved all the files. And you're going to get the files, and it's best if you hold Control and just select all 4 of them, or 5, however many there are. You select all of those and you hit Open. And when you do that, you can see that they're moving around with my mouse. You have to click to place them into the thing. So I click one time, and it places a copy of each of those things in there. Now, sometimes in assemblies, there's multiple pieces used, a piece might be used more than once, but we're not going to click anymore. So to stop placing things, you hit Escape. So now our 4 files are in here, and right now we can move these things around. So we can kind of put them kind of where they go. But if you look, they're not, if we spin this around in orbit, they might look like they're close together, but they're not really close together. So we're going to need to make them kind of go together. First thing you want to do is you want to lock one of them in place so that everything else kind of moves to that thing. So the way to do that is pick one of the pieces, doesn't matter which one. I'm going to use this one here. That's the top left. I'm going to right click on it and say grounded. Okay, it's like when you do something bad and your parents say you are grounded, it's not going to move. So you click that, and now you'll see that this one won't move. These will still move, but that one won't move. Now, to put things together in an assembly, you have to constrain them together. Okay, so you click constrain, and there are 2 kinds of constraints that we're going to use. There's a mate and a flush. And if you look at these pictures really closely, you can kind of see what happens. A mate is when 2 faces touch each other, and flush is when 2 faces line up next to each other. Okay, and when they line up next to each other, they are kind of, even up and down. And we're going to use this one first for a little bit. So we're going to click this right here. We're going to do the flush. And what I want is this edge right here, this face, not edge, this face to be flush with this one. And watch what happens. So I click one time here, turns blue. I click here, and you see that they are flush. Now, it doesn't look like they are. Okay, let me hit apply. It doesn't look like they are, but if you spin this thing around, those things are right in line with each other. Like if I look directly at the right side, you'll see that that is perfectly in line with that. Okay, so that's just a start though. We're not done. That's just a start. When you hit apply, it allows you to kind of keep going. Okay. Next thing we can do is we can add a flush to the top face here and the top face here. Okay, now hit apply. Now those things are lined up perfectly up and down. Now if it's bugging you that they moved, one moved up here, you can just hit cancel. We've already applied it, so we can hit cancel, and we can slide this thing over. You'll see that I can't move this thing up or down or left or right, so I just slide this thing. So you can slide this thing to get it kind of where you want it. It's not done yet, but that's close. Now let's do this. Let's do constrain again. We're going to pick flush. And now this time we're going to do this face to this face. Okay, and then we want to hit apply. And so now, but let's look at this. You can see that this is perfectly in line with that, but it's lower. So we want to flush the top to the top. This is when you got to make sure all your pieces are correct. Like this won't really work if these are not 0.25 thickness and all these. They won't line up perfectly. And hit apply. And let's just hit cancel so we can kind of see what's going on. You can see these pieces kind of move, but look, the K is grounded, so it's not moving, but those things kind of go together, so we get them close. And let's do some flush on the other thing. I'm going to orbit around, spin these things around in 3D. The way I'm doing this with my mouse here in a second is I'm holding the shift button, and I'm pushing the wheel down. Not rolling it, but pushing it down like a button. I can spin this thing around. So this Y is going to be flush with this back side. So let's do that. So I click constrain. I'm going to change it to a flush. I'm going to click this face and this face. If you ever have trouble, where you can't see if you're on the face, then just zoom in. You can make sure that you're on that face. Okay, so those things flushed. Let's check just to make sure. Let's zoom out. See how those are perfectly in line with each other? That's what flush does. So those are, hit apply. And now we want to flush the top of this to the top of that. And hit apply. Now again, I don't really like this one. I can't really see it, so I'm going to move this thing over here a little bit. Okay, and they're starting to go funky, but that's okay. We'll fix that. Actually, this Y needs to be up here. There we go. Okay, now the last step is to kind of put these things together. Okay, and in that one we're going to do constrain, but now we're not going to flush, we're going to mate. Now, what we can't do is we can't mate the tabs to these faces because the tabs are not, remember there's that little gap now. So we're going to click the pieces around the tabs. So here's what I mean by that. So let's do this one first. What I want is I want this little tab right here to go inside of here, but I can't do this face because that doesn't really match up anymore. So I'm going to click this one, and then you have to click on what it is, what's going to be touching that thing right there. So I spin this around in 3D, and sometimes it gets kind of tricky to figure out, what it is you're doing, but I want that to touch that, and you'll see it kind of pops in there. I hit apply. Then over here, I don't want to do this face because that doesn't really match up with this. So it doesn't really touch it anymore, but that one does. So I click this, and I'm in the mate thing still, mate. And I spin this around, and I want to click that, and I hit apply. Now I want to, let's hit cancel because we need to move this thing out because it's getting kind of hard to see. So this one we need to move out a little bit. So now, if you remember, this is all a tab, so we don't want to click any of these faces here. We want to do either this one or this one. So I click constrain, make sure mate is selected. I'm going to do this one here, and I'm going to spin this thing around and click this one and hit apply. And then you always want to check to make sure that things aren't moving. So this isn't moving, this isn't moving, this isn't moving, and this isn't moving. Now those things are all lined up, or all constrained. And then the last thing you want to do is you want to check to make sure all your tabs look like this, where there's that little gap around that. So yes, that's good. Yes, that's good. That one looks good. And that one looks good. It should look like this. They should not be perfectly in line because you should have offset those tabs so that it will go together when we 3D print it. Then you would just save it to your Google Drive, just like you have been, and you can watch the next video to show you how to do a drawing of it.